Have you ever wondered what the original Beauty and the Beast story was really like? Forget the singing teapots and the charming candelabra for a moment. The tale we know and love today is a much sweeter version of a darker, more complex story that's been told for centuries. Let's dive deep into the real story of Beauty and the Beast. Our journey begins not in 18th century France with Disney, but way back in ancient Greece and Rome. The oldest known version is the myth of Cupid and Psyche, written by Apuleius in the 2nd century. Psyche, a mortal princess of stunning beauty, makes the goddess Venus so jealous that Venus sends her son, Cupid, to make Psyche fall in love with a hideous monster. But the plan backfires. Cupid accidentally pricks himself with his own arrow and falls hopelessly in love with Psyche. He secretly marries her, but with one strict condition: she must never, ever look at his face. Night after night, he visits her in a magnificent, invisible palace, but he remains a faceless, nameless husband. Psyche's jealous sisters convince her that she is married to a monstrous serpent who will eventually devour her. Terrified, one night she takes an oil lamp and a knife to see her husband's true form, ready to kill him if he is a monster. But instead, she discovers the beautiful winged god, Cupid, asleep. In her shock, she spills a drop of hot oil on him. He wakes up, betrayed, and flies away, leaving Psyche heartbroken and alone. Psyche then has to endure a series of impossible tasks set by the furious Venus to win back her love. She sorts a mountain of mixed grains, gathers golden wool from dangerous sheep, and even travels to the underworld. It's a story of trial, redemption, and proving one's love. Eventually Jupiter, the king of the gods, takes pity on her and makes Psyche immortal, reuniting her with Cupid forever. Sound familiar? A mysterious husband, a forbidden action, and a series of trials to prove love. These are the seeds of the tale we know. Fast forward to 16th century Italy. A writer named Giovanni Francesco Straparola published a collection of stories called The Facetious Knights. One of these tales, The Pig King, features a prince cursed to be a pig. He marries 3 sisters, one by one. The first 2 are disgusted by him and meet grim fates. But the 3rd wife is kind. She learns that if she never takes off his pigskin, he will remain a handsome man at night. Of course, she eventually breaks the rule, and he vanishes. She then has to go on a long, arduous journey to find him again, wearing out 3 pairs of iron shoes in her quest. Again, we see that recurring theme: a beastly groom and a wife who must prove her devotion through suffering. Now we arrive in 18th century France, where the story really takes shape. In 1740, a writer named Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Villeneuve published La Belle et la Bête. This is the version that introduces many of the elements we recognize. We have a wealthy merchant with 6 children, 3 sons, and 3 daughters. The youngest daughter, Belle, which means beauty in French, is pure of heart, while her older sisters are vain and selfish. When the merchant loses his fortune, he stumbles upon an enchanted castle. He picks a rose for Beauty, which infuriates the castle's owner, a terrifying beast. The beast demands the merchant's life, but offers a deal. He'll spare him if one of his daughters comes to live in the castle. Beauty, feeling responsible, selflessly agrees. In Villeneuve's version, the castle is magical. Invisible servants attend to her every need. Every night, the beast joins her for dinner and asks her the same question: "Will you marry me?" And every night, she says no. She fears him, but slowly, she begins to see the kind heart beneath his monstrous exterior. He's not just a monster, he's intelligent, well-read, and deeply lonely. This version is also much longer and more detailed. Beauty has dreams that reveal the backstory of the beast. He was a prince whose father died, and he was left in the care of an evil fairy. This fairy tried to seduce him, and when he refused, she cursed him into his beastly form. The curse could only be broken if a young woman willingly agreed to marry him, despite his appearance. Another key part of Villeneuve's story is a magic mirror. It allows Beauty to see her family far away. When she sees her father is ill, the beast allows her to return home for 1 week, giving her a magic ring to transport her. But her jealous sisters trick her into staying longer. When she finally returns to the castle, she finds the beast dying of a broken heart near the rose bushes. Overcome with guilt and realizing she loves him, she cries, "Yes, I will marry you." And with those words, the spell is broken. The beast transforms back into a handsome prince. And the entire castle, including its servants, who were turned into statues, comes back to life. The evil fairy who cursed the prince is punished, and Beauty's selfish sisters are turned into statues at the castle gate, forced to witness her happiness for eternity. This version was a bit too long for most readers, so in 1756, another French writer, Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont, drastically shortened it. She simplified the plot, removed the backstory of the prince and the evil fairy, and focused more on the moral lesson. Virtue and kindness are more important than beauty and wealth. This is the version that became the most famous and served as the direct inspiration for most future adaptations, including the Disney films. Beaumont was a governess, and she wrote the story for her young pupils. She stripped away the darker, more adult themes of Villeneuve's novel and created a clear, concise fairy tale. She kept the merchant, the 3 daughters, the rose, the selfless sacrifice, the enchanted castle, and the knightly marriage proposals. But her focus was purely on Beauty's growing affection for the beast, based on his character, not his looks. It's a simple, powerful message that has resonated for over 250 years. What's fascinating is how the story reflects the social norms of its time. In the 18th century, arranged marriages were common. Young women were often married off to older, powerful men they didn't know. The story of Beauty and the Beast can be seen as a way to prepare young women for this reality, teaching them to look past a potentially intimidating exterior, to find the goodness within their future husbands. It was a comforting narrative that suggested love could grow, even in the most daunting of circumstances. So from a myth about gods and mortals, to a tale of a pig king, to a sprawling French novel about fairies and curses, and finally to a concise moral lesson for children, the story of Beauty and the Beast has been constantly evolving. It taps into deep human truths, the fear of the unknown, the power of empathy, and the idea that true love isn't about what you see on the outside, but what you find on the inside. Each version adds its own unique flavor, but the core message remains timeless. It's a story that tells us not to judge a book by its cover, and that compassion and kindness can transform even the most monstrous of situations. So the next time you watch your favorite version, remember the long and winding road this incredible tale has traveled through history. It's more than just a fairy tale. It's a reflection of our own hopes, fears, and the enduring power of love. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of fairy tales, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories behind the stories. Let me know in the comments which fairy tale you'd like me to explore next. See you in the next video.